Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Gyro and we are back. Yes, she is back. My Arc Elementalist Witch. It is a build in progress. There are some adjustments for endgame that are upcoming. I am planning them. Leveling POB included in the description of this video. Before we keep going, I would love to thank once again Into the AM, sponsors of this video and some other of my videos. They are creators of super cool print t-shirts that you can get with a discount of 10%. If you check my link in the description of this video. So, Arc Elementalist Witch, let's talk about what's good about this build, has always been good about this build, and what's not so good about this build so that you don't have to, you know, try and be smart there and tell me obvious things that I already know and have known for years. Arc Elementalist is one of the most fun map clearers slash farmers of white mobs really, and yellow mobs are fine too, in the game. That is my humble opinion. It's one of the best clearers, one of the most fun clearers. It is one of those sometimes not main, sometimes supplementary builds, but I've played it as the main league starter as well and was fine. As a casual, someone who is not really aiming to kill Cyrus, aiming to kill Uber Elders. That is the good thing about it. The bad things about this build have always been the same bad things, and I have to reiterate them if you're new to this build. It is not really a boss killer. I mean, you can kill bosses, otherwise it wouldn't be a viable build, but at the same time, look, it's a glass cannon. You will die if you try to face tank. You will die if you stand there in front of the boss slamming you or shooting you with some very powerful projectiles. You will die, essentially, okay? And it's not a tank. It is... I made it as tanky as possible and I'm still working on the defensive layers of this build and I will show them to you today, and in the POB you will see them as well. Read the notes again if you're running out of attention span, my young friend. Yeah, it's not a tank. So don't expect it to be a tank. Don't expect it to be super survivable. Stay on the move. Like, shoot, 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 run. Shoot, 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 reposition yourself. Don't let yourself be surrounded by the mobs and you will be fine. However, there will be one-shot deaths, absolutely. Something like the, you know, the whole Wildwood Affliction League with those nameless beasts, specifically those chunky ones, yeah? The ones that charge at you and they can one-shot you, absolutely. Especially during leveling while you're not beefed up massively, okay? So expect that, take the good with the bad as we always do, super enjoy the clears, it's amazing. People love Lightning Arrow or something like that and they claim that those are the best map clearers. Listen, it's not for it's not for me to say if it clears the map absolutely within the millisecond of some other build, but it still clears the whole screens, the lightning zaps. I love it, you love it, everyone is a winner. Okay, give the video a like if you are firmly in my club of Arc Witch lovers. Now let's talk specifically about how I'm building it. We are going up to Arcanist's Dominion. We are taking Heart and Soul. Later we will come back to take practical application, but not straight away. We are first going up in the tree. We're going past Lightning Walker. We're going past Cruel Preparation. We are taking the plus 550 maximum life mastery, which is an unavoidable mastery if you want to live. Then we're going the left-hand side of this arc and taking Heart of Thunder. I did not take Breath of Lightning straight away because there were more pressing things to make sure you're viable while leveling, but I came back, as you can see, to take that. And spoiler alert, as you can see, this is a build in progress. I'm expanding right-hand side. I am planning to take Golem Commander because it is going to be reliant on golems as well. They are not the main part of the build, but they will be, like they were in the good old days. I love golems, you love golems, everybody loves golems. I will also take Static Blows. Increase damage if you have shocked an enemy already, and you will be shocking enemies all the time, my friend. There are also some other tricks up our sleeves as we continue leveling this build. This is why you should subscribe, mark this video, whatever you want to do, so that you don't miss the part 2, which will be coming out soon enough when I reach the end game and I feel confident enough to reconnect with you, okay? We are definitely taking Crackling Speed, increased lightning damage. You can consider going here and taking Elemental Overload, and I know a lot of builds take Elemental Overload. It doesn't work as well for me yet, at least while I'm still leveling up this build. Maybe in the end game I'll revisit this point, but at the moment I prefer raw increases of power rather than situational critical strike based, while the critical strike chance is low for me, based on gear, based on other things. Yeah, so I didn't take Elemental Overload, it's not an oversight, okay? Then we are going to expand. No, not left. We're gonna go down. So first you went up, then you're gonna go down. And we are going to take the Dreamer. Why are we taking the Dreamer? Well, because it opens the mastery, mana mastery of increased mana reservation efficiency of skills. Not all auras are yet running for me. I am still having further plans for this. But this allows me to take what I need to do to stay alive. Simply to stay alive. And even then we die occasionally, okay? Here we are taking also Ash, Frost and Storm. Obviously, increase elemental damage. Why the hell not? And we are also taking the hits have 25% chance to treat enemy monster elemental resistance as inverted. So your every fourth hit, which you are shooting fast, you're like a machine gun with this build, you will be hitting through the monster's elemental resistances and hurting them a lot more. So this works okay for me, but I'm still experimenting with this. I'm not insisting on this mastery, but at the moment I think it works quite well in 3.23 while leveling. And I went to this lovely life mastery circle of life, yeah, to take this juicy plus 20 to maximum life and 10% increased life, as well as opening myself to the opportunity to pick these nodes if I have spare points, and nothing really resonates with me as being a better bang for the buck later down the track in other areas. So we're taking Retribution because we have no choice but to go past it. We are taking Discipline and Training, which is amazing, just as amazing as this node of Constitution that I just showed you. We are then taking Light of Divinity, increasing critical strike chance of spells, as well as the spell damage. And we're taking Holy Dominion. Elemental resistance is great, elemental damage is great. This also opens an extension here to the left-hand side to take Devotion if we are desperate for extra life, which, my friend, towards the end game, we will be desperate. At the moment, the Witch is still skinny. I'm deliberately not showing you my life so that you don't lol out loud. Although, why not? Let's share the joy. Lol, it's almost to, like, not even reaching 2k, which is not terrible if you consider that this Witch is only level 56. I'm about to go into the Labyrinth for the second time. I haven't done it. I was too keen to share this progress with you, and it's going well. I think it's going quite well. But for this level, that's my life. And also, as you have already seen, I've clearly started taking some of the Ascendancy talents, so why not show you Ascendancy? Listen, I did not take Shape of Storms. I know it's kind of staple and people say that you should take Shape of Storms because hits always shock, blah blah blah, all damage can shock and stuff like this. Listen, there are lots of talents that we take that are increasing your chance to shock anyway. My chance to shock is close to 100%, or is going to be close to 100%, if not 100%, soon enough. So instead of that, I have invested into a defensive layer, which allowed me to survive a lot more than I would have survived without it. I went first to Bastion of Elements. Yes, talk to me in the comments down below if you think I'm a noob. I'm not. I've been playing this for a long time. I know what this build is strong for and what it's weak for. And defenses are what it's weak for. Bastion of Elements obviously triggers Primal Ages, essentially giving you an extra shield of a substantial amount, almost as much as my life pool, against elemental damage. And you cannot take reflected damage, which always comes very, very handy. Where am I going next? No, not Shape of Storms again. I am gonna go Golemancer, I'm gonna go Liege of the Primordial, and my final visit to this thing, if I go only 3 times, as majority of my builds do, I never bother with the 4th one, I get too bored, I will take Elemancer. This is where we're going next, okay? That's Ascendancy for you. Now, Wildwood. Listen, yes, we can speculate about tinctures and other kind of stuff, but firstly, I'm not too interested in it. I will tell you why. Because I want this build to last us beyond 3.23 Affliction League. And if all I do is make it super duper strong and try to overthink it and sit here thinking and speculating with you of which real Ascendancy of Wildwood I should take, I will lose my time, I will lose your attention, I will not have fun, and League will be over, and what are we gonna do? You're gonna say, Gyro, this doesn't work anymore, what are we gonna do now? Which is why I've taken something absolutely obvious, available to you straight away, and playing into protection, into extra protection layer. What is it? Well, Warden of the Magi has Wildwood's Blessing that grants you Buckskin skill. This is when you stand static and it gives you armor. When you start moving, it gives you evasion. I think that for me, First of all, this was the first Wildwood NPC that I've encountered, and this works the best for me. This gives me that much needed, not free, unfortunately, not free because it takes reservation, a little bit of mana reservation, so I pay for it, yeah, but at the same time it gives me the buckskin skill. Why the hell not? I am also, while we're talking now about skills, first one obviously is important, that is Arc. To be real here, I don't have Val Arc, so I decided not to buy it, and I decided to go with what I was given for questing, just when I rolled the character, just your normal good old Arc. Supported by Arcane Surge support, it's too good to pass on, so I am using Arcane Surge at this stage. Lightning damage support, and Spell Echo support, because, as they say, if something is worth doing once, it's worth doing twice. Now, over here in my wand, I currently have Herald of Thunder that's no longer being used. Like I said, it is a build in transition. I'm going to be removing it and replacing it with something else. But I had it for quite some time in the early leveling, and I recommend it. Herald of Thunder, supported by added lightning damage support. Conductivity is not directly supporting it, it's simply making use of a blue socket here, and I am using Conductivity Curse on bosses, yellows, and stuff quite frequently in the Wildwood, because they are kind of tough mobs, even if they are not per se bosses. But I do use Conductivity and Arc. That's all I use. I love how primitive this build is. In my helmet I currently have Cast when damage taken support, important to keep at level 1. Immortal Call, very very important to keep up to level 3, but I'm using it at level 1, it's fine. 25 less elemental damage and physical damage taken is plenty. And I also increase duration of this effect. In my boots I have Determination Aura, I have Summon Lightning Golem, and I have a Defiance banner which boosts my armor further. I will have to very shortly find another socket for a second golem, which is probably going to be Flame Golem to boost my damage further. That is as soon as I complete the second labyrinth. And in my shield, as you can see, plenty of things still to play with, plenty of thoughts that are going to come to you in the next build, in the next end game kind of meeting build, but at the moment completely empty. And that's it, that's all I have as far as the skills and gems are concerned. While leveling, I was using Spark. And then I quickly changed to Arc, obviously, yeah? As far as my gear is concerned, my gear is rudimentary. I'm playing it very much like a League starter. However, yes, I had a rich uncle who had some cheap and available early uniques for me to help with leveling. This is not an optimized setup. Don't even bother telling me about things that I know. Let's take a look together. Alright. Look, I'm practically in rags, I'm practically naked. I have just a yellow wand that increases spell damage and adds lightning damage to spells. Obvious things, yes? And I'm compensating for some resistances. As you can see, my resistances are well capped, so I certainly do what I can. Yeah, and it's an okay physical damage reduction. Okay, considering that I'm not an armored beast, I'm okay with this physical damage reduction, and that. The rest of it is nothing to write home about, although, you know, my chance to block attack damage and my chance to block spell damage, given my crap gear, is not horrible, I would say. It's not horrible, okay? But it's not an end-game proven build. Probably one of my favorite, all-time favorite leveling uniques, in case you're looking to buy one cheaply from the marketplace, is Wanderlust, the Wool Shoes. Increases massively movement speed and you cannot be frozen, as well as your mana regeneration rate is up. Need I say more? These are beautiful shoes available to you from like level 1 or something, if you have them in your possession. I also have a nice ring, which you may or may not have. I'm not gonna advocate for it particularly, but it's great because it increases spell damage massively and it's available relatively early to you, yeah? Plus extra chance to shock, ignite and other kind of stuff. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. I have this Stone of Lashwa, which also increases the chance to block damage and, one would argue, massively increases cast speed. These are my leveling uniques, really. The rest of it is insignificant. And the other things are literally just stats-based yellow pieces, with some compensation for whatever I need, which are usually resistances, and when it's not a resistance, I always go for extra life. Beef up life, do the resistances as far as they're capped, increase the spell block if you can, the rest of it your Aegis will hopefully take care of, and then the common sense of not trying to be a tank is gonna keep you alive. And also you will see here very subtly embedded, and you'll be like, what's that, Gyro? Well, it's Withering Step. I know, bear with me. Withering Step is fantastic and underrated, especially for witch builds. Why? Because without any particular leveling, without any particular support of this gem, you still get phasing, you can get through enemies, you can get out of those circles, you can avoid those nasty beasts in the Wildwood, for example. You know, the number of times I have been saved because I had Withering Step, you know, is countless probably on this leveling adventure. And it also, during the moment of movement, it also gives you a temporary buff to evasion, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, the rest of it is increased spell damage, increased critical chance. Yes, we are going to be end game scaling with critical chance, increased critical chance, critical chance, critical chance. Yeah, that's it probably as far as the gear is concerned. Flasks are nothing to write home about. I still need my life flasks while I'm going through burning labyrinths and you know, corrupted blood. I still need to remove those things. I don't have any passive things against it yet. I have increased armor that is being used when I use a god skill. I have elemental resistances, which I don't need right now. You saw I just capped, well capped. I need to replace this with something else, which I will. And then I had Sorrow of the Divine, which is the increased damage on consecrated ground. You can just use the increased damage, which sometimes you want that extra punch when you are on bosses. Primarily on bosses, my friends. Pantheon at the moment is not optimized. It's a leveling build. I have the only killed Brian King, but I am going to take either Solaris or Lunaris for this. Probably Lunaris, but we will see, because I get surrounded by the enemies as opposed to fighting one of them. I've taken Soul of Aberath because less duration of Ignite is better, because it's a very skinny witch. Any damage over time, things such as bleeding or burning, is gonna kill you pretty fast, in my opinion. But I think once I unlock Ralakesh, I'm gonna take Ralakesh. That's what I'm probably gonna take. Lunaris and Ralakesh is what I'm planning to do. And that's it for today, I think, my friends. This is a fun build. Don't expect it to be a boss killer and a tank, and you will be absolutely fine. But nothing, or not many builds are remotely comparable to the fun of clear speed and just farming of maps with this build. I hope you have enjoyed this. If you did, don't leave without leaving me a like. If you could give me two, but give me one instead. Visit Into the AM if you want to look cool while playing this game in your mom's basement. I don't judge, mate, but you need to look cool. I look cool. And I will talk to you next time, hopefully about the end game version of this build. Subscribe for more if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you next time.